Hey, my name is Jasmine. About a week ago, I did a video covering a video by the Fat Electrician on airdropping beavers for conservation. Uh, I have come across another video of his about cocaine hippos and their threat to the planet. So, I am once again going to watch one of his videos and give my input as somebody who is currently studying wildlife biology, as well as who uh, works with conservation on a nature preserve. So, of course, a little bit more about what I do. So I work on a tallgrass prairie. If I remember correctly, this little issue is in the Amazon. So big difference in like region, area, different problems. But alas, I think it could be interesting to at least give my input and stuff like that. I'm not sure what else to ramble about. You're here to hear me ramble about cocaine hippos, not about what I do for a job. If you're interested in that, comment down below and subscribe and like this video so I know you like this kind of content, and I might actually do a video on that. I would probably have to do like a Q&A and shit, but anyway, enough of me rambling. Let's get started with the video, shall we? Okay, there we go. I have 3 monitors, so my mouse was often BFE. Okay. Anyway,
So
I'm
I
gonna
did a
leave this.
video last week over on my main channel.
So I'm gonna leave this open just so my like face isn't like out of or which way? Yeah. So my face isn't like in the way of the video. So yeah. Anyway, let's get started, shall we?
Band of beavers when America airdropped beavers into the woods to save the environment, and I was like, wow, that was a pretty funny video. I wonder if there's any other funny conservation stories. So I looked into it, and yeah, yeah, there are. Today we're talking about.
So I can tell you there are a lot of funny conservation stories because I lived through them. The amount of weird shit that happens for conservation and in relation to conservation is astounding. So yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna try not to ramble too off topic, but also ADHD. So we'll see how that goes.
Pablo Escobar's cocaine hippos that are currently messing up the ecosystem in Colombia, threatening the entire Amazon rainforest, and that Colombia also can't get rid of because some court in the United States granted cocaine hippos personhood, which is potentially groundbreaking legal precedent. Yeah.
Nicholas, did you get...
You see how I'm not surprised? Because this is the world of conservation. We say, hey, this bad thing is happening, let's fix it. We try to fix it, and some dumb fuck who knows nothing about it, who has the Dunning-Kruger effect, will say, no, you can't do that. I don't like that. For the dumbest possible reasons. It also does not help that, despite conservationists having a habit of having a high degree of, what's the word I'm looking for? Being really prone to, like, caring for things that are not themselves. Trying to remember the word. Being highly empathetic. There's also the fact of, like it or not, the trolley problem has been answered, and the answer is, at least among like conservationists and wildlife biologists, that you sacrifice the one for the many. So a lot of people don't like that because, well, you're still sacrificing one. But it's a trolley problem. There is no other choice. It is, do you sacrifice one invasive species to protect 100 others, or do you let that one species live and destroy an entire ecosystem and have God only knows what sort of heinous, horrific effects? So, yeah. See if I can remember how to press play. Jesus.
Get a beer vending machine?
Maybe
Why?
for the home gym downstairs.
What home gym?
Crandall Fitness sponsored the video and gave us a home gym.
My girlfriend would
Well,
kill me.
we have a gym membership.
Well, first of all, I want to be able to lift weights the way the Lord intended.
Good for you, my guy. Good for you. I will say I always like to let ads play just out of like a respect thing of, hey, who's this
That's
guy's
disgusting.
content?
You should wear clothes.
So. Yeah.
Home gym's already ruined. Anyways, Crandall Fitness, small business based out of Texas. They have a couple of employees. It's ran by a husband and a wife that were mad during the pandemic that they couldn't go to the gym and they couldn't really afford any nice gym equipment. So they decided to design and have their own made so that normal people can afford fancy home gyms and not have to worry about their gym being closed. The equipment's high quality. I don't know, it's heavy. I pick it up and put it down. It hasn't broken yet. What else more could you possibly want? Anyways, I'm going to have a link and a discount code down below. Go check out Crandall Fitness. Let's get back to the video. All right, from the top, Pablo Escobar. He's the #1 drug kingpin of the 1980s, if not of all time. Under his reign, I guess you would call it, his cartel was responsible for about 80% of the cocaine globally, and they were making about $22 billion a year, of which Pablo Escobar was profiting $60 million a day to himself. Pablo Escobar was making so much money selling nose beer that he was actually listed as the 7th wealthiest man on the planet in Forbes for like a decade. And it's hard to comprehend how much money that actually is, but to give you an idea, according to Pablo Escobar's son, when he was a little kid, they were camping one night and they didn't have any firewood, so Pablo Escobar burnt $2 million in cash so that they could make some s'mores.
I haven't had anything yet, so how can I have some more of nothing? You're killing me, Smalls.
Okay, this man was spending $2,500 a month on rubber bands to hold all of his $100 bills together. That's how much money this guy was personally making. This guy made so much money selling nose torque that he didn't even have anything to buy anymore, so he just started spending all of his money on whatever he could get his hands on. By the time he was done, he owned 141 houses, 142 planes, 20 helicopters, and 32 yachts. And at some point along this spending extravaganza, he's like,
If I had that much money, there would not be a scrap of land on this planet that was available for purchase. The amount of land I would buy and turn into preserves would be insane. It would actually probably be a problem because, like it or not, as much as I value conservation, we do need to save land for things like farming, agriculture, or farming and agriculture, same fucking thing, but still, agriculture, housing. So, I get that's important, but also, if I had that much money, the shit I would do. Anyway.
I guess I'm just going to start collecting rare, wild, exotic animals because there's literally nothing else I can spend my money on. He had a rhino, he had an elephant, he had a giraffe, he had a bunch of exotic birds.
Yeah, that
and
checks
one
out.
of the things that he smuggled in was 4 baby hippos, 1
God damn
male and 3 females. And as those hippos grew and matured, Pablo Escobar may or he may not have fed people to them based on their ethnic background, or at least that's what the Netflix TV show led
That
me to believe.
sounds like something a criminal would do.
Así me iba a echar ahí con los hipopótamos esos.
Hipopótamos tampoco les gustan los mexicanos.
Either way, fast forward to 1993, Escobar's compound gets raided, it all gets turned over to the Colombian government, and they have to figure out what to do with this entire zoo that this man has living in his private compound, and pretty much all of the animals get turned over to either zoos or sanctuaries.
Makes
all of
sense.
them
It's pretty
except for the
reasonable.
4 hippos, and I can hear the comment section already. Buh! That doesn't make any sense because if you can transport an elephant, why can't you transport a hippo?
I know he's going to say it, but I have to say it too. Not an expert on hippos, but I do know hippos are one of the animals with the highest that cause the highest number of human fatalities per year. Also, I feel like elephants, like comparatively speaking, well, also similar in size. Pretty sure you can lead an elephant around with food. I'm pretty sure you try to lead a hippo around with food. You are the food, and the hippo will win. But I'm not positive on that. But pretty sure that's what this is going to end up being.
Buh. Okay, look, I understand your logic going into this. That's a big-ass animal. That's a big-ass animal. If
Pretty
you can
much.
move one, why can't you move the other? Simply put, it's because elephants and other large animals can be reasoned with. You know what I mean? You can roll up on an elephant and be like, hey, chief, proposal. How about I give you some peanuts and you get your big ass on the truck? And they're going to be like, okay, I'll walk my big goofy-ass ears up on the truck for you. You can't reason with a hippo, all right? Hippos are territorial assholes that will kill you for no other reason than the fact that you got a little bit too close for their liking. They are the deadliest animal on the planet, responsible for
Get to the
killing
point.
over 500 people per year. Buh! But I still think they're kind of cute. Buh. Okay, first of all, no it's not. Objectively speaking, it looks like Voldemort fucked a grizzly bear, okay? Secondly, there's nothing cute about this animal. It's absolutely horrifying, okay? You're like, oh, it's chubby and it's cute. No, it's not chubby, okay? It is almost 4,000 pounds of straight muscle and bone. Hippos are so dense, they can't float, okay? Are you picking up what I'm putting down right now? Hippos...
So that is actually completely true. If you get a chance, I would say you should actually research hippos because hippos are just like genuinely a fascinating creature to learn about. I do know a little bit about them just because of personal research. Also, I will say you don't actually have to go to like a article or magazine. Feel free to look it up on YouTube. Yes, there's a chance of getting false information. High chance actually. But also you're not, I'm assuming that person watching this, that you are not studying biology and that you're not a hippobiologist. So it's okay to be a little bit wrong. But yeah, hippos are like really cool and fascinating, and that is like genuinely true. They just hop along the bottom of the fucking whatever body of water they are in and just jump up to get air, which is awesome and horrifying.
Can't swim. Most people are probably hearing this for the first time. No, they sink to the bottom of the river and then they run along the bottom of the river, and then when they get out of breath, they jump up, get a breath, and sink back down again. Okay, and just so we're all on the same
Yep, just
page,
hippo behavior.
4,000 pounds is bigger than most cars. Like a Toyota Corolla is like 3,000 pounds. This is literally a semi-aquatic muscle tank that's got 12 to 18-inch stalactites for teeth that maxes out at 19 miles an hour on foot, okay? It's absolutely horrifying. This
Yeah,
animal
that
is
is-
so unstoppable. It has no natural predators. You can make an argument.
This is what people think dinosaurs would be like. Like, I'll be honest, if you imagine what it would be like to live with dinosaurs, that's just hippos. I'll be honest, depending on the dinosaur, I would probably rather face off against a dinosaur than a hippo, because at least they have hollow bones. Like, you might stand a sliver of a chance. Against a hippo, you're just fucked. There is no, like, oh, you might win. No, it's like fighting off a grizzly bear. You will not win. There are people who have fought against grizzly bears and won, but that just means that they didn't die. Anyway.
That when they're a baby hippo, they might get eaten up by alligators or lions, and that does happen once in a while. But even then, there's accounts of alligators letting baby hippos chew on them like chew toys when they're teething, because the alligators know at this point that if they hurt the baby hippos, all the full-grown hippos are going to dismantle them. Once hippos reach maturity, there's absolutely nothing that can kill them, okay? You can get on the internet and find videos of a pride of lions attacking a single full-grown hippo, like lions on the hippo's back biting it, and the hippo's just walking towards the river completely unfazed because it's not even hurting it. The only thing that kind of regulates the hippo population in Africa is the dry season, because once the rivers and the ponds dry up, the hippos can't survive. Okay, do you understand what I've just told you? This animal is so fucking gangster, the only known predator it has is the dry season. Literally, the only thing capable of taking it out is Mother Nature with a natural phenomenon. Sorry, we're unhinged at this point, but my point is, you're not getting the hippo.
Yeah, so this is actually a very surprisingly common thing in conservation. A lot of animals do have a surprising lack of regulation, where there is just this one thing that keeps them in check. And I have the feeling I can already tell where this is going, because last I checked, the Amazon does not have a true dry season, which results in an uncontrolled population. And it does not matter if it is native or not, an uncontrolled population is a bad thing.
Hippos on the truck to move them if they don't want to be moved, and hippos don't want to be moved. They want to be left alone to do hippo things, and that's what's going to happen. So all these Colombian
relate
special
hippos in that
forces
way.
guys that broke in and raided Escobar's compound are like, I guess we're leaving the hippos here. And then over the course of the next couple years, either somebody just let the hippos out, or the hippos broke out into a nearby river system, and they've been living there ever since. Okay, now fast forward 30 years from 1993
Every invasive
to
species
2003,
story
they
ever.
know of 170 of these hippos, and there could be more out there. So the hippo
That's the
population in
problem.
Colombia is growing exponentially, and it's estimated to reach 1,000 hippos by 2030 if we don't do something about it. And this is an environmental disaster, not just because the hippos are dangerous to people, but because the hippos poop in the body of water that they reside in, and their poop is so toxic that it creates this algae, and these large cultures of algae start floating around the top of the water, and this algae actually eats all the oxygen out of the water, which kills off all the fish, and not having fish kills off all the birds, and it's fucking up the entire ecosystem in Colombia. And there's nothing to stop it or even kind of slow it down because there's no dry season in Colombia, which means it pretty
This is every fucking conservation story ever, and I feel like I'm just going to continue to repeat this throughout the entirety of the video. But humans do something stupid. We introduce a species that's not supposed to be there. There are no checks for the species grows out of control. Something the species usually it's eating other species, but in this case it's destroying environments. Destroys the environment, other species cannot live, you lose a whole bunch of other species. This is conservation, this is just how it works, and the entire role of conservation is to go, oh hey, here's a problem. How do we solve it? Yeah, so this is, if you're watching this and going, oh wow, this seems so annoying and so frustrating, congratulations, this is my life. But my entire existence, for likely the rest of my life, will revolve around things like this. And if you think, God, this is stupid, I really wish people were doing more about it, do me a favor and do something about it. I don't mean this as sarcasm, I mean this genuinely. Go work with conservation, do what you can to help. There are many things you can do to help conservation, even part-time. Do it. We need all the help we can get. Anyway.
much every hippo born in Colombia is living out its entire lifespan of roughly 50 years, and every female hippo gives birth to roughly 7 other hippos, and their population is going to continue to grow exponentially until some of them are
Lovely.
forced to move into other areas of water, and if those hippos make their way into the Amazon rainforest, we're all fucked. Because the Amazon rainforest is one of, if not the biggest ecosystems on Earth that helps stabilize the climate of the entire planet, because it stores 200 billion tons of carbon, and if we mess up that ecosystem, it could have planetary-wide implications, and who knows what's going to happen. So clearly, we got to get...
I guarantee you, there's a scientist that can tell you approximately what's going to happen. Now, I can't tell you exactly what's going to happen, but I can tell you it will be bad. He is correct. Well, as it turns out, the Amazon does not actually, while it sequesters a large amount of carbon, puts it in the ground, it also produces a large amount because while the trees produce a lot of air, or a lot of O2, the wildlife in the Amazon also consumes a lot of O2. But the point being, still, it does a massive amount for the ecosystem of our planet. So that would be bad. The Amazon has enough problems, let's not make it worse. It's the same thing I run into with tall grass prairies. Our tall grass prairies are like basically non-existent anymore. They have a lot of problems. Let's not make it worse, people. Please, work with us. We want a healthier planet. A healthier planet means healthier you, which means more natural space. It means better, makes everybody's life better. Just does. So please, work with us. I promise you, we're not that scary or mean. Most of the time. I do know one scientist I work with, she is fucking terrifying. As a scientist, I absolutely respect her and adore her, but also she is fucking terrifying. Literally, that woman can walk into a room and everybody will like freeze and like immediately await for what to do. Because awesome person. She's also a woman who is about to retire, who has grown up in science back when it was a very male-dominated field, and a lot of those men were assholes. So, yeah.
Get rid of these hippos,
But most of us
right?
aren't too scary.
We're going to have to cull and kill off all the hippos. It's the only option. It's not fair. It sucks for the hippos, but that's just what has to happen.
That is
right?
conservation.
Apparently wrong. In 2000...
Yeah, it does have to happen. Like it or not, culling is sometimes the only appropriate source of action in conservation. It doesn't matter if we're talking plants, animals, fish, fucking fungi, although a lot of times it's hard to do. In cases like this, it's probably the best option. I can't think of another way to deal with it. I mean, I don't know if maybe preventing their reproduction is an option, but also that's probably a pain in the ass and probably expensive. Because that's something else that we talk about a lot in conservation, is that it's not just what can solve the problem, it's what will solve the problem quickly and cheaply. Yeah, because like it or not, conservation requires money. Majority of the time that money comes from either people visiting like preserves or hunters or taxpayers. And believe it or not, we do actually try to avoid wasting your money because we as conservationists are also taxpayers.
2009, one of the hippos was being extremely aggressive towards fishermen, and the army stepped in to kill this hippo before it started killing fishermen that were trying to feed their families.
Yeah, no, that makes
And
sense.
they posted a picture of this dead hippo
Bad
that they
move.
had just killed named Pepe
Bad optics.
on the internet.
That causes
and
problems.
the planet had a fucking meltdown because the Colombian government was killing hippos. Now, obviously, when I say the entire planet, I'm being hyperbolic, and what I actually mean is a bunch of self-righteous, entitled pricks. I mean, animal rights activists from first world countries that don't actually know or understand anything about the environment or conservation as a whole, but they do know that it feels good to save animals.
Yes, the fake conservationists on the internet who have no idea what it's like to actually do conservation are the bane of my existence. Part of the bane of my existence. There are many, many people who do dumb shit that cause my existence to be more painful. But that is one of them. Because, for example, part of my job involves burning. Tall grass prairies specifically, and many other ecosystems actually, rely on fire. As it turns out, wheat fields have it's actually kind of funny. I'm from northwest Kansas. Wheat fields have the problem in the windy season of catching on fire because the wind will blow the wheat when it's dry, and the stalks will rub together and create static electricity and spontaneously combust. And then you now have a wheat field on fire. The same thing happens on prairies. The ecosystem has adapted to that. If you do not burn it, it will die. a lot of people don't like the fact that we put a lot of CO smoke and CO2 in the air. And I will say that smoke is acrid as fuck. Because the worst type of fire is a fire you can't see, not because it's invisible, but because there's so much smoke that you physically cannot open your eyes. So yes, people who know nothing of conservation and then still complain about it are... I feel his pain, I feel his pain, I know what he's going through.
In between sips of their Starbucks Frappuccino by bitching at people on Twitter. So, because
Also,
most
these people never do
whose
any
opinions
actual
shouldn't
conservation
even
work,
matter in the
ever.
first place are going to be upset if Colombia kills these hippos. For the past 15 years, they've been trying to find a different alternative besides killing them in order to get rid of all these hippos.
Good
First
on
thing
them.
they did,
Good
they tried to
conservation.
capture some, put them to sleep, and then neuter them.
This is Bob
Makes
Barker.
sense.
Have your pet spayed or neutered. I'll just die already.
It didn't go that great. Like I said, it's
Yep, that's how
4,000
conservation happens
pounds of
sometimes.
muscle. And if you didn't know, male hippos have internal genitalia,
Oh,
meaning
God.
that it's really hard to tell male from female, and it's also very hard to neuter them because you have to cut through 4,000 pounds of muscle to get to any of the genitalia in the first place. And then the hippos didn't have great outcomes as far as surviving the surgery and being released back into the wild. So, next thing we could try, we could tranquilize the hippo.
So we're covering all of our bases. So obviously preventing them from reducing makes sense. You don't actually have to harm the animal, but when you have a high rate of mortality from the capture, well, that's how it goes. Seems, I have the feeling this is going to be a repeating thing with stories like this, but we tried non-lethal, that didn't work. We tried another non-lethal, it doesn't work. We tried another one, it doesn't work. It doesn't work, it doesn't work. Okay, we have to choose the lethal option.
And then while they're asleep, we could transport them to a zoo or a sanctuary of some
I feel like there's too many
kind,
hippos
right?
to do
That's
that
a
with,
halfway
but
decent
yeah,
idea. If
seems
you
reasonable.
don't think about it, I mean, what happens when you tranquilize a hippo? Well, where are the hippos? First of all, they're in the water. What happens when you tranquilize something? It falls asleep. What happens if a hippo falls asleep in water? It sinks because they don't float, and then they fucking drown, and you can't get a 4,000-pound animal out of a river in time. So after like 10 years of...
Let's also be honest. You are now, the animal's now upset, or in some way is, what's the word I'm looking for? The animal's going through a stressful situation because it has been shot, it is being stabbed with things, so it is going to go to all the other hippos. So not only do you have to fish a 4,000-pound animal out of a lake before it drowns, you have to fish that out of a lake with a dozen other 4,000-pound animals who actively want to kill you because you're bothering them. Failure is always an option, and sometimes it's the only option.
trying alternative methods. 2020 rolls around, and the Colombian government's just like, I mean, there's nothing else we can do. We're just going to have to cull and kill all these hippos.
It sucks,
It's literally
but
the only
yeah, that
option
makes sense.
without having planetary-wide implications. So, naturally, a bunch of animal rights activist groups got
Goddamn.
together in the U.S., and they sued the Colombian government because they were going to kill the hippos.
As always, they do something, but it's not something actually helpful. They don't go out and say, oh yes, I'm going to volunteer and help with my local preserve and help preserve the beautiful native lands that we have. Or I'm going to help save animals by working for a rehabilitation center. No, they sue another country and cause problems.
Oh, how can I sue these people and institutions? I have no grounds. Do me a favor. Let me answer that question in person. Better call Saul.
During this court case, because the hippos have never set foot in the United States of America, they literally have nothing to do with the United States in any way whatsoever, and the United States legal system has no jurisdiction over it at all. The federal judge in this court case had to declare the hippos interested persons so that they could even hear the court case in the first place, but by doing that, this judge inadvertently
could also just throw the case out
admitted
because it's
that
insanity.
hippos have personhood, which means that they have human rights. And with the way the U.S. court works, once one court decides something, it sets a precedent, and all the future court cases get to refer back to it all the time, which means hippos, and potentially by extension the entire animal kingdom, could now have human rights.
Anyone can be anything!
So let's discuss the implications of giving animals human rights. So in the study of fisheries, one thing that's common is that they'll perform what's called gill netting. Basically what you do is you drop a net in the water, it catches a bunch of fish, you know, okay, this net covered X area. Let's say, you know, this net covered an area of, I don't know, let's say 100 square meters, and you know that the shoreline is 10,000 square meters. You then take the amount of fish you got there, you can extrapolate, okay, I have this many fish per this unit, Multiply that by the total number of units, you have approximate numbers of fish. Pretty useful. Downside to gill netting. It kills the fish in the process, so one of the primary forms of studying fish would no longer be feasible because it kills them in the process. Also, hunting. Hunting is, like it or not, a very important part of conservation in the United States at the very least, and removing hunting would cause a lot of problems. Reintroduction of predators would negate some of those, but not all of them. Yeah, no, I am sorry, but I love animals a lot more than even more than the average person. But no, we're not giving them human rights. Bad idea.
And let's be honest, if you've made it this far into one of my YouTube videos, I know exactly where your brain just went. You're like, holy shit, this means the hippos have the Second Amendment, and the only thing scarier than a hippo is a hippo with an AR-15.
You don't need
An appropriate, an
AR-15.
actual appropriate use of AR,
Buy a shotgun.
actually. That
Yes,
was fucking funny.
Joe Biden. Or hippos with shotguns. I don't care. Hippos with guns are terrifying. Now,
Yes, that would
obviously,
be
that's
horrifying.
ridiculous and silly, and we're
Yeah.
just joking around.
Yeah, it's a funny
However,
joke.
what you should
That
actually
is
be
funny.
concerned about is the potential that next time you accidentally, like, hit a deer with your car, now your friendly neighborhood tree hugger environmentalist can take you to court and try to have charges pressed against you for vehicular manslaughter because you didn't just accidentally hit a deer, you killed a person with your car. Because
Hey, your friendly neighborhood tree hugging, nature loving person. No, I promise I won't do that. Most of us are not insane like that. But yes, there are people who are insane and would do that. Hence why we don't want that, because that causes so many problems, not just for you, somebody living your life normally, but also for people like us who try to do our jobs. Yeah.
Because now
That would be
animals
bad.
aren't animals. They're people, and people have human rights, and it completely upends our entire understanding of how the law functions today. Thankfully, this is probably not going to end up happening. I read
Yeah.
through a bunch of like actual lawyers and legal scholars analyzing
a guy doing
this,
proper research for
and
video.
their
Good job on it.
conclusion is that it's kind of a bullshit technicality, and it shouldn't ever set a precedent.
Yeah,
However,
which makes sense.
shouldn't still implies that it kind of sort of might one day, which is horrifying. But U.S. law and precedent aside, it's affecting the Colombian cocaine hippo situation because it's putting a ton of political pressure on the Colombian government. Now, in order to fully appreciate what is going on here, you really got to put yourself in the Colombian.
I will say, based off the map that he showed earlier, I am assuming that this only affects Colombia, meaning that when the hippos inevitably escape their current habitat, that the country neighboring them hopefully will be able to deal with the problem. And hopefully they will, instead of posting pictures of it, very quietly kill everyone that crosses the border. Because that is actually a thing that happens. Actually, in my beloved state of Kansas, we actually have one of our rivers has a small dam in it, and upstream of that dam does not have an invasive fish species, but downstream does. And there's literally a group of guys who their job is to go through, they electrofish, which is where you pump current into the water. The current basically stuns the fish. Within a certain range, they float to the surface, because fish actually have air in them. And then they scoop them out. Now, normally this is done for just like surveys. It's other than gill netting. It's a lot more time intensive, but it does work. And you can like select different fish because you can just look, oh, hey, that's that type of fish. That's not that type of fish. Only want that type of fish. And you just keep on motoring along. The magnetic or electronic field goes past. The fish resumes swimming. They scoop the fish out of the water. They then chop them up and throw them back in. That's actually for like nutrients because the fish eat a lot. And so if you reintroduce those nutrients, you won't just decimate the ecosystem. As well as they've noticed now that when you dump a large amount of dead material from one species of fish, that species of fish is less interested in the waters. Also, other fish are now developing a taste for their meat and are now starting to have an increased rate of predation. So kind of neat. But also the entire point of this is they're doing it right downstream of a dam to prevent them from moving upstream. So this does have some precedent for working. However, I'm talking about a like 50-pound fish, not a 4,000-pound fucking hippo. So big difference, but hey, there's hope. Assuming the US doesn't do something stupid, which is likely to happen based on our track record. Anyway, enough rambling.
Colombian politicians' shoes, right? On one hand, you've got an environmental disaster with potentially planet-altering
Welcome to
implications
conservation.
that's being instigated by cocaine hippos from Pablo Escobar. And on the other hand, the
Conservation.
United States,
That's
you
just
know, the
conservation.
country whose military budget is literally twice the size of your nation's GDP, just came out of left field and they were like, oh, hey, by the way, the hippos in your country, no other hippos and no other animal in the planet ever, for that matter, has ever been considered a human. But the cocaine hippos in your country, we consider them to be people now. And the Colombian government is like, what the fuck does that
Conservation
even
in a
mean?
nutshell.
Like, if we cull these hippos to save the world, are you guys going to consider that a genocide? Or, like, what's going to happen? You're going to put an embargo, quit doing business with us, wreck our entire economy over some hippos?
Yeah, this is just
What? And that's pretty
was
much
like
where we're
being
at today.
conservation.
Nobody really knows what's going on. The Colombian government doesn't really know what to do because everybody's too busy arguing about the moral and ethical dilemma of killing off hippos/people, while the hippos are in the background pooping all over the rivers and the ponds, killing off all the fish and the birds, destroying the ecosystems of Colombia and potentially by extension in the future the entire Amazon rainforest, and nobody's doing anything about it. I feel like I'm in
Welcome
an
to
episode of
conservation.
Black Mirror. You know what I mean? Because maybe I'm simple, maybe I'm stupid, maybe I'm just a horrible person and I don't see the value in all animals' lives in relation to saving the entire planet. However, I feel like the options are pretty simple. A, save the environment. B,
This is conservation. This is the amount of times I've literally had a test which had a similar question on it. It's just, this is what conservation is. It is, do you want the bad thing of, hey, we're going to kill this innocent animal who has done nothing wrong in its life, has no moral compass, has no idea of what is good or bad? Or do we not and let it instead cause the decimation of an ecosystem at best, and at worst, the loss of entire species? This is conservation. This is, when I signed up to get an education in conservation and work in the field, these are the types of questions I literally signed up to deal with. It sucks, and you may feel like a bad person, but if you feel like a bad person for doing it, that's why you don't go into conservation. So yeah, no, I know the guy that made this video is not watching this, but honestly, if you feel the same way, you're not a bad person. That is just the correct decision. It's like how on the back of school buses, how it's designed to design in a manner that if a car rear ends it, it will likely kill the occupants of the car but save the occupants of the bus. It's like, yeah, that's bad, but at the same time, saving a bus of children is more valuable than saving somebody who is dumb enough to rear end a school bus. It's yeah.
B, give a fuck about the feelings of people that don't know what they're talking about because it will make them feel better if hippos don't die,
Yeah, no,
even
save the
though
world.
they wouldn't know
Every
about
time,
it if they
all the
did.
time.
And somehow, the feelings of random people is winning while the clock is ticking down to an environmental catastrophe. Like,
Yeah.
the entire thing has made me lose so much faith in humanity, it's unbelievable, because I'm now absolutely
If you had faith
certain
going to
that
conservation,
aliens could crash
you
land
would
on
not have
Earth,
faith in
like
humanity.
aliens, like from the movie Alien, you know, not intelligent life forms. Their sole purpose is to run around and kill anything that's alive. Those things could crash land and start murdering everything. And I guarantee you there would be activist groups that were protesting to make it illegal to fight back against these aliens because they have a right to live too.
I would, in fact, I'll be honest, as a scientist, if they are attacking people, my first order of business is kill them, but my second order of business is absolutely dissect that thing. I want to know how it works. Because, like it or not, all scientists have this weird, or at least all biologists, have this weird thing where we really like poking around the insides of things. An easy way to tell if somebody's actually working in, like, wildlife biology or something like that, if ask them how many bones they have in their room. Every wildlife biologist that I know of has either a bone or some sort of dead living organism in their room. I know me and one of my roommates both have. My roommate actually has a milk crate of bones. I have a few bones. One of my other roommates, I think she does actually have some bones, but she also has like dead mushrooms and shit, just like because they're cool. So yeah, no, yeah, we love like dissecting shit and seeing how it works, and sometimes that does involve, hey, we're gonna kill it and cut it open.
Do not call them aliens because alien is a derogatory term for anything.
No, it's not.
That's so
It's a
true.
descriptive term.
Even extraterrestrials.
That's where people are at, and it's the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life. Now, my personal opinion, and this is going to show you how horrible of a person I am, I don't think the Colombian government should kill off all these hippos. I really don't, because that would cost the Colombian taxpayers money, and that's dumb. The Colombian government should issue tags and let a bunch of foreign, rich, wealthy hunters come in and kill hippos for $100,000 a piece. They'll pay money to fix the problem for you.
No, this is the thing with conservation. You need to find the most effective solution. Killing them yourself is not as effective as letting somebody else pay to do it. Why would you solve a problem if somebody else will pay you to solve it for you? This is Conservation 101. Actually, technically be 102, because 101 is just, hey, or not really conservation, but wildlife management, which is a significant part of conservation, is intentionally manipulating the environment, hopefully to have a positive change. 102 is figure out the most effective way to do that will be helpful to the environment and not negatively impact it while also being cost effective. So yeah, no, this is literally, I mean, technically this is like 101 level shit. This is entry level. Here's welcome to how to do this shit.
And then you can take all the millions of dollars that would net Colombia and put it back into preserving and helping the environment, which has been damaged by these hippos. But we're never ever going to do that because that would make sense.
They might,
and
hopefully
making
one day.
sense usually hurts people's feelings. So I guess this is just where we're at. I'm sorry. This video got way more angry and unhinged than I ever thought.
This is my life.
So I guess in conclusion, this is a story about how Pablo Escobar, the drug kingpin, smuggled in 4 baby hippos into Colombia, and now generations later, all of the hippos are somehow considered people, and they're going to destroy the Amazon rainforest, and nobody's going to do anything about it because a bunch of self-righteous know-nothings think they're helping. Thanks for watching. Best way to support the video is go buy some merch over at thefatelectrician.com. Quack bang out. I need a fucking beer.
I concur. But yeah, no, that is the reality of conservation is, hey, we have this oh, hey, somebody did the dumbass thing, we need to solve it. We could have solved it immediately very cheaply. Actually, that's another thing that we also talk about a lot is, hey, let's solve these problems before they get to that scale. Hey, instead of doing that, let's just maybe neuter the hippos that we already have so they don't do that whole spreading like a virus thing. Yeah. Although I do wonder what if the hippos will eventually run into the problem of only having only originating from four members, if they will run into a genetic problem because of that. Because, I mean, I know, like, at least humans, I think it's like you need at least 20 healthy, or 20 reproducing individuals to have a successful, like, not have eventually genetic degradation cause the entire group to collapse. So, that, again, that problem might solve itself eventually. But, yeah, no, that's very fascinating. And, yeah, that's just conservation. Something stupid happens. We don't solve it the cheap way the first time. Okay, let's try to solve it now. No, we can't do it that way because it upsets something. Yeah. So yeah, welcome to conservation. If you found that infuriating and would like to do something about it, do me a favor and go research something that you actually care about and go do something about it. I'm not saying go off and go kill a bunch of animals. Don't do that unless there's like, you're a deer hunter and there's a outbreak of chronic wasting disease and you have permission to go do so. Then by all means go out and kill a bunch of shit because please stop the spread of chronic wasting disease. That shit is horrifying. But yeah, also, I forgot this guy has 2 channels. So again, as part of my trying to be a good person, as I am literally stealing his content, like it or not, I personally view using somebody's reaction content to be kind of a form of theft, but it gets clicks, so yeah. If you want me to do more videos on cocaine hippos, I'm happy to talk about that. If you want me to talk about something else, please say so. My comments are open. If you have somehow made it this far into my incoherent babbling, you clearly at least somewhat enjoyed it. Maybe leave a comment and a like and subscribe, pretty please. I know I'm not much to look at. I'm not pretty. My voice sounds like shit. But also, you get to learn cool shit. And if you're like me, you find shit like this awesome and fascinating and would love to know more. So, yeah. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye.